Imagine you're in the top 15. You're about to win this match. You know the circle's closing in, and you gotta you got all the best armor that you got throughout the whole entire match. Like you're loaded. You feel great, and then all of a sudden, someone becomes Doom and just wrecks your wrecks your dreams of just finishing out the match.
Man.
It hasn't happened to me yet, but I'm looking forward to it when it does, because Fortnite's got this really fun like limited time event going on where like there's like an island that spawns. So have you played Fortnite when an island spawns in the middle of the map that you have to get to?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if that happened during the Dragon Ball
I don't think it
collab.
did. I mean, this is something that's been on again, off again for
Sure.
many years. Um, it's like a gameplay mechanic, and they brought it back like permanently this chapter.
Okay.
So for the past few seasons, and they've been doing fun twists with it. Like last uh, last season, because it was all about like metal Mad Max type um, of a twist. They had for the island it pop up. It would be always a concert type thing, and you go to that island and it would show. I mean, it would be playing Metallica, and it
Yeah,
was pretty
that's
cool.
cool.
This season they're doing that again with Marvel, but the standard island that pops up every match remains there, but there's a 12% spawn rate right now. It was 5% and went up to 12% spawn rate of a Doom Island,
Okay.
where you capture the island, because the idea is to capture the island. You capture the island and you get like this Doom Gauntlet that's similar to like the Infinity Gauntlet,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
and you become twice the size of a normal player, and like there's like a volcano-esque thing that's like over by Doom's castle that all of a sudden changes, and you know um completely wrecks the game pretty
yeah.
much. um but I haven't gotten it, nor have I had it pop up for me yet, and it's been out for a week. I don't know how long it's going to be, but it's just kind of like one of the cool things that they're doing this season. Um, just like unique things that is going
Yeah.
on, and like the mythic weapons outside of that, like war machines, guns, armor. Um, you get Shuri's claws, and then you get Captain America's shield. That's kind of the stuff that's like you could pick up, and they're all really fun in their own way,
That's cool.
and they have a pretty good spawn rate. So pretty much everyone has it. Not everyone, but it's easy to get it if you know how to get it. And yeah, it's just the game is broken right now, but broken in a fun way.
Yeah. Yeah.
and and you know, when we were last on the podcast, I don't think the season had came out yet. It was just announced that it would be a Marvel season, and they have done like I liked the Marvel season they did like 2 years ago, 3 years ago now at
Hmm.
this point. Um, I really liked that season. It's one of my favorite seasons that I played, and it's this is honestly up there. I mean, it's only been a few weeks that it's been out, but I'm loving every minute of it. and I've been just kind of playing it casually. Like I haven't been like, oh, I'm gonna sit down for a few hours and play Fortnite. I've been playing another game for that. But like if I'm like, hey, I only have like less than an hour, I'm gonna drop in, play a few matches. Like this
Yeah.
season has been so much better as far as like to casually drop in. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's interesting because then it becomes the notion of this is what scared me the last time they collabed with Marvel for a full season like this.
Hmm.
It's interesting to be like, what is Fortnite's identity?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, is it just going to be from here on out the more like obviously the more successful is when it's collaborating with events that are from other forms of media.
Yeah.
Is that what Fortnite's about now? I mean, it's both a good thing and a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they've necessarily gone wrong with it, to be
Sure.
perfectly honest. Like, I mean, there was the Marvel event, there was the Dragon Ball event, and
Yeah.
now and My Hero event too.
My Hero. I mean, there. I think it was
Star
maybe.
Wars as well.
Well, yeah. The joke was like, oh yeah, Fortnite's the only thing where you will see Goku shoot Darth Vader with a Kamehameha, right? Like that's
Right.
like the whole um Fortnite collab thing, especially after they did the whole like Fortnite. I think it was like I don't remember what it was called, but it was, when they added like Lego Fortnite
Yeah, and
and
the
the
concert
and the and
and the
the rhythm game and the racing game. The racing game is really fun, actually.
I've never tried it, to be honest
It's
with you.
unironically. Have you played Rocket League?
Hmm.
It's the same people who made Rocket League, and
Yeah.
it's like kind of the same. It's not like exactly the same, but it's got a lot of the same like feel and fundamentals. But instead of like soccer with cars, it's just racing. Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
so yeah, it's actually really fun.
Well, that's good to hear because I just didn't hear any reviews on it, to be honest
Yeah,
with you. I know I haven't played the Lego mode either. One of these days I probably will.
I
Um,
played a little bit of it, and I was like, "This is too much like Minecraft," and I stopped playing Minecraft like 7 years ago. So I just don't.
yeah.
And not oh, I hate Minecraft. It's just like that period of my life is
That era
over.
is over. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get you.
Um. So yeah. I haven't tried the rhythm game though. Um.
The Rizzo game I have tried, and I really like
That's cool.
it.
Yeah.
Especially when they started adding Metallica to it. I'm like,
Oh,
that's
okay.
like the more this is weird. The more they get to do rock songs,
Yeah.
reminds me of what Guitar Hero used to be,
Yeah.
and so it's just like the more they do that, the more I get on board with it. Like,
Yeah.
admittedly, I haven't played much of the rhythm game now that the new season with Marvel's out. I'm devoting kind of a lot of my attention to that.
Yeah.
Um, but last season was really cool with what they did with Metallica, and I hope they do that with more artists. And I know they have been, but there was something special when they did it with Metallica, and so
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Anyways, to get back to your original point, I think that Fortnite really started out as like this Well, it started out as like that like co-op shooter thing. That's still somewhere in the game, I think. But
Mm-hmm.
then what it explode. It and PUBG kind of created the current climate of like free to play battle royale things, right? Like before Fortnite, we didn't have battle royales. We didn't have um battle passes, right? Like Fortnite really created a lot of this language. And I think that like as much as I dislike um the whole idea of like the metaverse and like the digital space and stuff like that, I do think Fortnite is like kind of positioning itself as a platform rather than like, oh, this is just a game, right? Like I think that's the kind of direction they're trying to head.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not that's I think you're right. I think like, is that a good thing is a really hard question to answer, because it's just like, well, like we don't have, like, what does a collab less Fortnite look like, right? Like we don't know what that we
Right.
we we can't know what that looks like in 2024, right?
Mm-hmm. But that's the thing. It's like I feel like it's successful
Yeah.
at the same time. Like I don't know if Fortnite would last this long without the constant engagement of doing these collaborations, because it brings people
Yeah.
in or back in. Like
Yeah.
for me, there are moments where I don't play it for a very long period of time, and then all of a sudden they do this fun collab or something, and I'm back
Yeah.
in. Like
I mean,
Metallica was the one for me last year. I mean,
yeah.
with last season.
I,
Prior to that, I wasn't. Go ahead.
yeah. I was just gonna say, yeah. Like I think it was. I'm thinking about it. It was probably 2022. That it was like, they had the Dragon Ball collab, and I like legitimately played Fortnite for like a week, and like games like that are like kind of like wholly PvP. Uh, like I generally don't like vibe with battle royales. Like like
Mhm.
if you and I are playing, like, oh, I'll have fun because it's like it's you and me and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
like on its own, I'm not like a super big fan of battle royales. I was like legitimately playing a lot of Fortnite just because I was like, I get to be Goku and shoot kamehamehas at Darth Vader and stuff like that, right? Like that's um like what you're saying is absolutely true. Like the Fortnite has really had a lot of staying power in part because not
Mhm.
only do they do these collabs, they do really good collabs, right?
Yeah.
Like they like the meme about Spider-Man swinging better in Fortnite than in
Oh,
Marvel's Avengers, right? Like
that was something.
if
I remember that.
like Galactus coming in and being the reason for the world resetting or whatever in that one season is like, they do some legitimately cool things with these collaborations. It's not just like, oh, here's a Goku skin, right? Like, no,
Mhm.
here's a Goku, Vegeta, and like and I mean now there are like 10 other characters, but like here's Goku, Vegeta, and you get to use the Kamehameha, and there are like there's Master Roshi's house in the middle of nowhere, and look, you can fly in on your Nimbus. Like, it's stuff like that. That's like most collaborations in stuff like this, where it's like a pre-existing thing that's having like a franchise kind of added on to it, tends to feel a little like underbaked, right? A little bit like or maybe not underbaked, but just like not super passionately done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With Fortnite, like, you can tell that like they really make sure to like represent the whatever franchise they're crossing into the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's there yeah, I mean there have been times where I'm just like, yeah, I want to play Fortnite just cuz they got my guy Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen or something like that, right? Like
it's always funny every time when you think they're done with stuff, they throw you out with something completely unexpected.
yeah.
So I mean, do I think this is going like? I think Fortnite's still going to be here to stay for probably the entirety of this console generation. Like,
If not longer.
if not longer, which is crazy to say.
Yeah.
Because it could beat out GTA 5 as far as longest running game, between generations.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, Disney seems to really be backing it, right? Like they're really kind of pushing for Fortnite as the like thing. So
well, there's
we'll
that
see.
big Epic Games acquisition too. Like,
Yeah.
Disney and Epic go hand in hand now. That it's kind of like,
Yeah. I mean, Dave Filoni is a figure in Star Wars, right? Like he's important. He's created a lot of like the stuff that the fans love in Star Wars. He's kind of responsible for Darth Maul being a fully fleshed out character. And all sorts of stuff. Like, there's his resume is really good. That is nothing compared to the titan that is Kevin Feige, right? Like
absolutely.
that, like Kevin Feige is, and that's no disrespect to Dave Filoni. It's just that like Kevin Feige literally created one of the biggest franchises in all of history, and was like at the helm of that project, and like, not to give him too much credit, but was like kind of the reason it all came together, right? And so to have Kevin Feige on stage talking about Fortnite as like this important thing, to me that says a lot, right? To me that's like, oh, they are really kind of betting the ballpark on this, right? Whatever it is.
Absolutely.
And whether or not it pans out, we'll have to see, but you know, it's kind of hard to mess up when you have both Marvel and Star Wars. I think Mickey Mouse is like a little nebulous nowadays. Like, I'm not sure how like truly popular he is. I love Mickey, but I don't know what the general consensus is. But like
Yeah.
Marvel Star Wars is like baked in audiences.
Yep.
So yeah. Fortnite's definitely like the evolution of Fortnite in a lot of ways will be like the continued evolution of games as we know it, right? Like that's kind of it's kind of weird. It's weird to say, but like I think that really is like what I'm seeing Fortnite as, is like this kind of like, oh, this is what games are going to be, because every game is chasing Fortnite money. Like that's kind of the long and the short of it. So
Yeah. Well, welcome on into the Sorry I Like This podcast. I'm your host, Caleb, today, joined by my fellow co-host, Ezra. How are you today?
I am doing great. Having a great week. We had some good news. We had some bad news. Just looking forward to talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. This is the second cold open we've done in a row, and yeah, I'm enjoying just going right into it as far as things go. And we got a very special lineup today as far as what we're going to be doing.
Yep.
Got lots to talk about. This is since the last time we've been on the air, there's been a lot of news that's come out, so we're going to be covering a lot of that today. Some good, some bad, and some ugly. So we're gonna
and some just flat out hilarious.
And then some just flat out hilarious. That's exactly it. So yeah, I think we just do it. We just start off with the hilarious and ugly. We had a movie trailer come out this week.
Yeah.
And
one that a lot of people were really excited for.
And
I
hesitate to call it a movie. But, it's like, I don't know. I feel like I have very strong opinions on this, but like, we got the big mystery of how is this movie going to look like? How is this going to be as far as a video game adaptation? And I wish I didn't have that answer. I wish they just never released the trailer, just released the movie. You go see it, and then witness the horror then, because I mean, one of the worst trailers I've seen of all time was, I give the designation to the Minecraft movie. It was
it is rough. Yeah.
And I don't know. I think I gotta ask you, like, what was your thoughts, your reaction, I should say, to the
just everything. Yeah.
Exactly.
So like, I have a lot of thoughts. I guess like my first reaction was like I just like, while I was watching the trailer, I was just like, why did we go this direction. And it's, yeah, I have only seen the trailer once, so you know I didn't like rewatch it. Mostly just because I couldn't be bothered to. But it just like, you know, visuals aside, it just lacked any form of personality, right? And like, and you know you know, I'm as a Sonic fan, I remember back in, I think it was 2019, the original Sonic trailer, right? The one with the one that had Gangster's Paradise, you know, that horrific Sonic design. Even during that time, right? Because that was like, I was in full like denial, like, no, this movie can't be bad, it has to be good. And this was before they announced like the redesign and stuff. Even back then, I was like, you know, they at least got Sonic's vibe correct, right? They at least got like the spirit of Sonic the Hedgehog somewhat correct, right? And you know, Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik was really helping that perception. But you know, it wasn't, I was still like, okay, there's some like, I could see like some life in the movie, right?
Yeah. That had to have been when we were on the other podcast. Like there's got to be some audio around that time where I think you and I were both echoing the same thoughts on, like, you know, it looked optimistically, it looks good. Like, it didn't like, I think it looked okay to me. Like, I wasn't like, I think I was very 50-50 on it, but I wasn't like, oh my god, the horror. Like, you know what I mean? I
wasn't like thrilled with the design. I wasn't like, this
neither
looks good.
Neither was I. That design was not that very good, and I'm glad that they took the year to redesign it. And you know, but there was a lot of question of whether or not films should cave into that type of bullying. You know, they had something going for it. They had some vision in mind, like, but you know, I gotta say, we need to bully the people
but
for this one, because
this is kind of the crux of what I'm saying, though, is like, what do we bully them about? Right? Like does it look kind of ugly? Yeah. Like, I don't think it looks great, but I also, you know, like, I it took a second to adjust to like Detective Pikachu, right? Like, that was like a little like a like something I had to like wrap my head around, right? It wasn't like you know, it in a different trailer, that sheep looks fine, right? It looks unremarkable. I think the problem to me is just like the movie feels so lifeless, and like, that's a crazy thing to say about a movie that has Jack Black in it.
And Jason Momoa. Like,
and Jason Momoa, I mean, the whole cast seems great. It's just like,
right.
yeah, like, Jack Black is like that's Poe, right? Like that is like you know, Jack Black is a
Drink.
I don't know if I would call him like the greatest actor of our time or anything, but like he commits, right? Like he you only have to look at his performance as Bowser to see like he
Absolutely.
commits to every role he's got. And um I know sentiment has shifted on him since the whole Tenacious D thing. We don't have to get into it. Um
Nope.
but but to me it's just like, man, you've got Jack Black supposedly playing Steve, but like
Mm-hmm.
it is just such a uh it feels so lifeless.
You know, I hate to not credit these sources. Well, actually, I know one of them, but like, I saw on Twitter one time. I saw a tweet that was just like, "This literally looks like an SNL
Yeah.
sketch," and I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, it is that bad.
Yeah, like
Of
have you seen uh the Pedro Pascal Mario Kart sketch?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like
exactly.
it looks like that, right? Like
Yeah,
it's different colors and stuff, but still like same vibe, right? Same like it feels like a trailer that is making fun of the exact kind of trailer it is.
yeah, and I also saw the other thing I was gonna say was like, I also saw like there's a podcast show that I listen to, and you know th- this is from the John Campea show. They made the comparison that this literally is like Jumanji, like stealing the plot right off of Jumanji,
Oh yeah.
and and I just keep thinking it's an SNL skit of Jumanji with Minecraft now, and I can't get it
That's
out of my head. It,
that's really funny. Yeah. No, that absolutely. Yeah. No, I hadn't put that in my head, but yeah, that's pretty great. Yeah.
like it's as bad. I mean, like you said, the designs are sketchy. It looks like they got the world right, but like the character designs are very
Yeah.
sketchy.
I
And
I will make a case for the creeper. It's weird to be defending a
oh
Minecraft
yeah,
movie. I'll make a case for the creeper. I think the creeper looks fine.
I
Um,
agree.
I don't know if. And then there's the sheep that looks kind of ugly, but I don't know if there's. I can't think of anything else. Specifically that's like, oh, uh, it looks bad. It's just like, yeah, just looks,
I
yeah.
I guess the thing is for me, this is my thing. Not every video game adaptation has to be live action, right?
Yes.
I think the Super Mario Brothers movie proves that.
Yeah. I think
This
I would,
movie.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna add, like I think, Sonic kind of only gets away with it because he's interacted with humans in the past,
Exactly.
right? Like that's like been kind of part of the thing, and so it's not like so surprising to see him, making friends with James Marsden and all of that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's not. Yeah, that's not out of character. But like the this specific adaptation should have just been purely animated in the first place. I still have yet to see the justification for going live action, and
Yeah.
they have to prove that. That is the biggest thing going against them, I feel like, for
Yeah.
this movie. And especially imagine not watching a single trailer, right? You know
Yeah.
what Minecraft is about. You go to the movie, and then they're in the real world. Because you know there's going to
Yeah.
be a moment where they're in the real world before they even get into Minecraft.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, am I in the right movie?
Yeah.
you
No,
know?
yeah.
And then the begs the question is, how do they discover it?
Yeah.
Does it become like this big like meta thing? Where
Well,
like
and this is the to me this is like the fundamentally kind of weird thing about this is like sorry, it's been how long since the Lego movie?
oh, jeez, I think 2014. So about 10 years, at least
10
10
years.
years.
The Lego movie is like you could just make the Lego movie but with Minecraft. Right? Am
Yeah.
I crazy? Like you could just like do the same thing but with Minecraft instead of Legos. And you could have I don't know how you handle like Steve and all that stuff like it's it's uh it, there are more creative minds that could make that happen. But like the Lego movie is one of the most beloved family films of all time, right? Like one of it is a breakthrough in like generational relatability. Um and like Minecraft I think this is fundamentally the problem is they made the Minecraft movie for Xers, right? They got like
Mm-hmm.
Jack Black, Jason Momoa. Um, I don't remember anybody else in the cast, any of their names, but like, yeah, you get all these Hollywood stars, and then just kind of have them act goofy for 2 hours and call it a day, and then that's it. Like Minecraft is for the kids,
Mm.
and yet they got Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Like it's just it just like again. You're right. I think like all of these like live action adaptations of like games and even cartoons really do feel like they are missing that sauce. Um and again,
Look,
like I I I like Sonic 1 as a movie, but even I can admit like it's got like some real Smurfs energy, right? Like it's
yeah.
not it's not uh it's not lacking in that. It just like it has some other elements that manage to kind of break through the noise. Um but
Yeah, I
like
mean, oh, go ahead.
I sorry, I just wanted to say one last thing. Like it's you can't really make the Smurfs out of Minecraft, right? Because, like, you
Yeah.
know, if you just make the Smurfs again, you know, the first Smurfs movie is like an enjoyable kids movie, right? Like it's fine.
Yeah.
Like it's not you know, it didn't murder anybody's children. And like, you know, the same thing with like Sonic 1 and all this stuff, right? Like so yeah, it's just like weird. It's really weird. I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah.
I hope it bombs.
I mean, I hope so too, unless they hear the reaction and decide to pull a Sonic route. But then again, that costs money, and not everybody wants to do that.
Yeah.
But I think my best way to say it is, if they don't do it, they're going to run into a Borderlands situation.
Yep.
And
sorry.
that
keep
just
going.
came out a month ago.
Yeah.
And is within 2 weeks, I think it was already put on streaming.
Yeah.
And pulled from theaters because it wasn't getting any it wasn't getting any box office money. That's for sure.
Well, I hate to bring us on a tangent, but I was watching Gamescom, and my dad comes downstairs, and and I'm like, there's this trailer and it's like it's in space. It's got like this cool production stuff. I'm thinking like, oh, it could be like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, you know, something like that. And I'm like, oh, Dad, come here, you know, check this out, because, you know, I'm like, oh, there's like a decent chance he could be into whatever it is. And then I see what is it? I see like the world like explode or something. I don't remember what it is, but like the world explodes, and then like they make the Borderlands logo, and I just start cackling. Both of us are laughing, because we're just like, this was supposed to be, you know, an announcement right off the heels of like this awesome Borderlands movie. And like, you know, you just like get everybody hyped up, and to just like feel the emptiness of that announcement because of the dreadful reception to Borderlands was actually hilarious. That was probably funniest moment in like games news this year.
They should have delayed that announcement.
They should have.
I know they probably had that planned for like months.
Yeah.
But like, can you imagine being developers on that game, realizing that the movie response was so god awful that it could actually probably ruin the franchise itself? That
a franchise that is not, that like already wasn't in a good place.
Right.
By the way, like, people are not happy Borderlands fans right now. Yeah. Oh. And then to be Jeff Keighley on that stage. Oh
my god, that was so cringe. And he tried his best.
He tried his best. I would love to be, I wish I could have been backstage during that moment, and like to hear him like come back and like cuss people out, because like that just sucks, right? Like that is like, you know, there are not often moments where I like feel bad for rich people, and Jeff Keighley is definitely a rich person. That is a rare moment where I'm like, dude, that sucks. Like, that's gotta be a horrible feeling. Yeah, yeah. Well, thankfully for Microsoft, Minecraft is like the biggest thing ever, aside
Mm-hmm.
from Pokemon, I guess. So like, they'll be fine.
Yeah, and it's not like they're going to announce a Minecraft 2
Yeah,
a month after the movie release, right?
that would be insane.
Like, how do you even do that?
What was it even a month? It was like a week,
No, it was like 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Yeah.
That's going to be the moral of this podcast: is a lot can happen in 2 to 3 weeks, because
Seriously.
there's more to come on that front. But like uh, yeah, I mean, I just hope that they can learn and learn from this, see what they could tweak. Maybe
Yeah.
they do reshoots. It's not too late for reshoots, I don't think. When is the Minecraft movie actually coming out? I
Uh,
think it's May of next year.
Good old Gamatsu's got me on this one. If I
April
can
4th.
find April 4th. Oh yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah, reshoots happen all the time.
yeah.
Um, I mean, Captain America 4's got reshoots out the wazoo, and it looks like decent. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, cringe trailer. Stop making live
Yeah.
action video game adaptations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe just, kind of stop making video game adaptations. Do something
Well,
else.
I don't know about that. I would say at least do them with heart,
Yeah.
you know?
Have a soul about it.
Because with video game adaptations, the ones that have heart are clearly like you get a Sonic or you get a Mario Bros movie. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I think the secret sauce is getting the minds behind the original thing to work
mhm.
on the adaptation.
And I would agree with that.
Cuz there were bringing Sonic back up. I remember when the original trailer came out, and it came out that the people at Sonic Team were not fans. They were like they like kind of had to say some like vaguely nice stuff, but you could tell they were not happy with uh how that had come together. And then they like flew out Tyson Hess, who's like an animator who's done a lot of Sonic stuff, to like really to like change that design and to make it fit better. And then
Mhm.
the story of the Mario movie is that Miyamoto and Universal cooked, right? They just like went in the
Mm.
studio and just like, we are going to make a Mario movie,
Mhm.
and not even Chris Pratt could bring it down, right? Like that's like, yeah, and that's like kind of why I'm I still have like a little bit of hope for the Zelda movie.
Mhm.
Is like Miyamoto's working on that one, and like if anybody knows what Zelda's about, it's him, right? So like
And isn't that one going to be live action? Did
yeah,
I?
it'll be a live action. So
Which I think can work. I really think. See,
yeah, there, there
there's
there's some wiggle room there, right? Like not all live action adaptations are inherently a bad idea, right? Like it would
right,
be kind of silly to make a Last of Us cartoon,
right.
right? Like it would be, you know, uh, Mortal Kombat has always effectively been live action, right? Like that's just like the nature of these things. Um, so I yeah, it is like kind of per franchise, but I do think like the Minecraft movie is a really good example of just like a soulless adaptation, right? Because they didn't even. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've got nothing for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that pretty much covers Minecraft because I feel like we could go on and on
And on and on. Seriously, yeah.
about how what makes a good adaptation versus what doesn't. And I feel like we'll cover it a little bit more later too. But
Yep.
like, as far as Minecraft goes, I think we should just bury it, pretend we didn't see it, and hopefully not get another trailer in between in between now and release. Um, or at least learn from our lesson and not watch the trailers. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you
I don't
imagine
know.
going into it? Can you imagine just randomly going to a movie and then all of a sudden see the Minecraft trailer pop up and then you have to see that in the big screen?
Oh man. That yeah. Steve. Yeah. I
uh,
just I can't wait to see it.
yep,
It'll be a train wreck, but sometimes you want to watch a train wreck.
that's true.
You've seen The Room, right?
No, I have not.
You haven't?
No,
You got to do it. You
I
got to bite
should
the
watch it
bullet.
someday.
You got
Yeah,
to bite the bullet. I like you are still of the age where it will be funny.
that's true.
I tried watching it with my parents. They did not get it. So anyways, that's a whole tangent, but train
Yeah.
wrecks can be fun sometimes.
So, pretty much our first actual news topic. This one is coming from Capcom.
Yep.
Ezra, would you want to fill us in on what's happening at Capcom and
Yeah, so oh, yeah.
what could that mean for the future of the company and uh, the yeah? You just go ahead.
Yeah. So it was announced a a few days ago, as of recording this, that Hideaki Itsuno uh, is has left Capcom, um, and will go off to make his own games. Form his own studio probably, and make kind of whatever he's gonna make, I guess. If you don't know the name, you do know the games.
Mm-hmm.
Devil May Cry 3, 4, and 5. He also did. He also was like 6 months of Devil May Cry 2's production, but that game kind of sucks, so we don't really care about it. But he made he is like the reason Devil May Cry 3 is as awesome as it is. I mean, the fact that we got Devil May Cry 5 at all is insane, and he's responsible for that. Also, both Dragon's Dogma games were his kind of baby. That franchise really was like Itsuno's thing. So if you're a Dragon's Dogma person, that he's really connected to that. Um, and that's really the that's just scratching the surface, right? He's been at the company for I think 30 years. He's worked on so many games. And if you're to ask me, I would say like, yeah, he's probably like one of the greatest minds working in games right now. So to see him leave Capcom, it's a blow. I'm not gonna say it doesn't make me sad. Mostly, uh, mostly just because I think I would have liked to see another Devil May Cry out of him. Um, and I know a lot of people might have also liked to see another Dragon's Dogma. From that from his brain. But yeah, I at the same time, I genuinely wish him the best.
Yeah.
I think I again, he's such an awesome director. I would be shocked if game his next game is not awesome. But yeah, it is sad. It is like a loss for Capcom, at least.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, Capcom's been trucking on for the past like 6-7 years, right? Like Capcom's been on a roll, so like um it's not like the end of the world, but it is definitely a loss. I don't know, what do you think?
I mean, I can't say too much about him because I really haven't played much of his games. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I mean, it's like you said, I know of his games. It's
Yeah.
like the you've seen like a lot of game directors, I should say, will leave a studio after almost a dynasty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, I think there's been some successful and some not so successful. I think the biggest successes you can look to is Kojima, like
Yeah.
as far as uh, making a name for himself if he wanted to go fully independent, or there could be a case where he's going completely somewhere else too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I mean, what if he
Um,
ends up at Sega and is making Sonic games?
right, exactly. So I mean, you know, it gets to be a decision of like not a decision. Hold on one second.
Bless you.
Sorry. But the it gets to be it's a scary time. I can imagine it's probably a scary time. I mean, it's like either it's gonna make an early retirement, or there's a lot of risk involved on all parties. But yeah, I just hope it goes well for him, and I'm excited to see what he can produce independently uh,
Yeah.
from Capcom. But do you have any other kind of final
Hmm.
thoughts?
No, not really. I just think, best of luck to him, and
Hmm.
hopefully uh yeah, just, I hope that his next venture is successful. You know, I hope he doesn't like fade into obscurity the way Yuji Naka did.
Mhm.
Let's just say, because that is also a pipeline. The the dev um, to the like franchise creator to absolutely
Mhm.
nobody pipeline is real
Yeah,
and rough. So
it
yeah.
is. And yeah. Speaking of games out of obscurity to all of a sudden to the big spotlight, um, something that I didn't expect it to be on anybody's radar this year. Besides, it's like, yeah, I didn't expect it to be that big at all, and I am once again wrong again in this prediction. Um, I was like this with Helldivers, but this one I was less outspoken on. Black Myth Wukong is all of a sudden a huge, huge hit. I did not expect that. I mean, there's always like one a year that's like heavily advertised and I'm not so big on, but like all of a sudden becomes a hit. And
Yeah.
like last year was Baldur's Gate. This year is Black Myth Wukong. Um, so it's interesting to see. A lot of people are loving this game so far. Uh, and I mean personally, I didn't expect it. What about you, Ezra? Have you played the game? Or
I haven't played it. I probably will at some point. At kind of at this point, just because like I think I should. Like I
right?
think like one of us probably should.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's hard to you can't predict a game selling like this, right? It just is unpredictable.
Hmm.
Um, you know, it is like one of the first uh like big budget AAA single player game to come out of China, right?
Hmm.
Maybe not the first, but you know, one of like the first big ones anyways. And so I think like that really drove a lot of it. I also think uh I mean part of it really is just uh the Chinese audience
Hmm.
was hungry for uh, a game like this, right? Like I do think um, there's some truth in what the devs were saying that like yeah, you know, people really have, especially in China, it seems like a lot of it is just like exported stuff, right? You get like
Hmm.
the Greeks and the Norse gods and Marvel and Star Wars and all this stuff. And
Hmm.
so to have like a game, like a big game that is just Chinese mythology, right? I think that really spoke to the audience. And then I also just think, you know, uh, I think there's a contingent of the content creator sphere
Hmm.
that for a lot of reasons was really like kind of backing this game. um I think in part because like, you know, when it was first revealed, everybody was like, "Whoa, this game looks so awesome." Um and then it like never started looking bad, so everybody was like, "Oh, it looks
Mm-hmm.
like really good." It didn't have like a Watchdog situation where it was like, "Oh, it's looks really good," and then, you know, it actually comes out and it doesn't look anything like the original reveal trailer. Um but yeah, you know, I think Black Myth Wukong, I think, is like an exercise in uh like, you know, don't count your chickens kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? In fact, like, you know, the next few things we'll be talking about are all like an example of that, in both good
Right.
and bad ways. uh but yeah, like I think yeah, I just think, you know, Black Myth Wukong, um my biggest hope would be that like it does kind of blow wide open the Chinese game industry,
Mm-hmm.
um, because, you know, I guess like for me it's just like more games is good,
Mm-hmm.
and I think, you know, I wish more countries and uh civilizations and, you know, just kind of like people had the opportunity to export their culture the way some of us do, right? Like the way America really does, like everyone can, everyone around the world can expose themselves to American culture in some
Mm-hmm.
way, right? Um, and in America, I can get a lot of the same stuff in reverse, but, you know, there are a lot of like smaller countries, cities, just cultures in general that don't have that opportunity, that don't have like the ability to share. Um, and that's for a lot of reasons we don't need to get into today. But like there, and some of them don't want to, and that's fine too. But
Mm-hmm.
like, uh, you know, I think uh, the Chinese people uh, are, um, you know, it's weird. Like I feel like in America and in other parts of the world, we get so much like Chinese culture without any true like Chinese media, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because like a lot of it is like, uh, wow, this is a tangent, but, you know, like a lot of it is like a lot of like, you know, shows like fresh off the boat and stuff aren't really, um I mean, it would be really weird for me to say they weren't authentically Chinese, but they're not like from China, right? They're from the
Mm-hmm.
perspective of like children of immigrants, right? And that is a perfectly amazing story to tell, stuff that needs to be told, like, absolutely. I do think, you know, the people of mainland China deserve also to have their stories told in the wider
Mm-hmm.
media sphere. So you know, I hope, I do hope that Black Myth Wukong is a sign that like the, you know, the best way to get China to do anything is to get the CCP involved. So if the CCP is like, hey, this is great, we're just gonna start, you know, greenlighting games and stuff, like,
Mm-hmm.
by all means. You know, not that I'm a big supporter of the CCP, but Yeah. Anyways, that was a whole rant. Yeah. Thumbs up.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like I just wasn't expecting it to be such a such a popular game, and it's really cool to see. Do I think it is an actual game of the year contender? Is it a contender for sure? Yes. Is it going to win game of the year? I don't feel so confident on that. I feel like there's a few other games that will triumph over it. I think this is one of those type of games that, and this is not to diminish this game, but I feel like it's one of those type of games that is really popular for like a few weeks, a month,
Yeah.
and then kind of falls as far as in popularity. And we're already kind of seeing it, because I mean, I guess now's the time to transition, but like we're already kind of seeing it with Astrobot all of a sudden coming in and kind of blowing up as far as success goes, in ways that I wasn't even prepped for. And I played Astro's Playroom, like,
Yeah.
um,
Astro's Playroom was awesome.
it was a really awesome game. And if for those of you that don't know, it's a platforming game. It's a 3D platforming game that was meant to be it started off as a tech demo for the PlayStation VR, I believe, or was it the might
Well,
have been the
so
PlayStation
Astro
Move
Astro was PlayStation VR. If I
VR.
if I
Okay,
if I remember correctly, it was Astro's Playroom. It was just a yeah. It was a it was like a VR tech demo. Yeah.
and then it turned into a tech demo for the PS5, and it's like almost a fully fledged, not almost, it is a fully fledged game, that you could play, and it's automatically downloaded into your PS5 when you get it. This was a launch game. Um, I mean, it's a tech demo, but it's
Yeah.
like it
It's
does
really
have
cool.
it's super cool. I mean, it goes into nostalgia of PlayStation history. Like it's all about the PlayStation history and the capabilities of the current console, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it's really cool to see that it got greenlit for another, like it got greenlit for a full game, like
Yeah.
fully expanded game. And I mean, let's see real quick. Hold on one second. Yeah, Astrobot is like it's a full game, but it's being charged at like retail value. It's being charged as a previous generation game.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's still like, I mean, I shouldn't say it's cheap, but like, you know what I mean? Like it's accessible, in that regard as compared to modern games. Like
Yeah, I
I
think I think it is a reasonable price for a 3D platformer
mhm.
in this day and age.
Yeah. I mean, it's to hear such great reviews on it, like
Yeah.
to the regards of it being the highest rated game of the year, blows my mind. um, in that, like, people are like, I've seen comparisons to this game. People are comparing this to like the likes of the quality of Super Mario Galaxy,
Yeah.
and that is huge, huge praise. Um, and I gotta like, I have to play this game. I haven't played it yet, but like, I know I will now. I wasn't like, I don't think I was going to get this game prior to um to its release and hearing its reviews. Um, Even though I really loved the tech demo, but like, it just wasn't something that I felt like was something urgent. Like I felt like I was gonna just like, yeah, I'll play it sometime, probably, when it's on sale or something like that. But like with people like really giving it such high praise, I really see myself probably um, playing it before we get to the end of the year. I don't know what are your thoughts on the hearing the praise for Astrobot? Was it expected? Was it not expected? Um, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely it's another example of like I can't say I expected it to this degree, right? Like I think seeing the trailer I was like, oh, it looks fun, right? I was like, oh, that's good. We're getting, a full-fledged Astrobot game. Seems like Astro has kind of become the de facto PlayStation mascot, after the demise of Sackboy, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. He had a game like in 2020, so I'm not sure. But anyways, but yeah, I seeing the reviews and it hitting a meta score of I think 94 is pretty wild. Yeah, I'm definitely more likely to play it than I was. I don't know if I'll play it now or maybe later in the year or something like that. But it is like it is funny to see it kind of rocket up into being a legitimate game of the year contender, right? You know, do I think we live in an era where 3D platformer beats out Final Fantasy VII Rebirth at the Game Awards? Not really. Although you never know, I guess. But yeah, I think I just think it's good to see Sony be rewarded for this project. And I hope that I hope that this game sells well so that they like get the message, right? Yeah, because I think these past few weeks have really been like a clear message to the industry. And if you're not hearing that message, then you're not listening. Yeah.
Speaking of not hearing the message, that might as well transition us to Concord. May it rest in peace.
Yes. Rip
Just
Concord.
let's give it a
August
moment
20...
of silence. Just a moment of silence for the fallen video game.
All right, that's enough.
Thank you.
I think Rip Concord, August 2024, September 2024.
Oh, it's so sad. It's so sad, but so warranted at the same. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. That's not. Oh, okay. All right.
It's kind of funny.
It's kind of funny. I don't know how to put it. Like it's. Oh, I feel so bad, but at the same time, it's like this game took 8 years to make, and it sadly was not a success. Um, and Sony decided to 2 weeks in from launch to cancel the game, shut the servers off, and put it to an early grave. Um, they
Also, give everybody refunds.
Yeah, and give everybody refunds too. I I don't know, Ezra. Do you think it's gone too soon? Do you think we should have gave it a chance? What are your thoughts?
um, you know, I have a really hard time comprehending the Concord story.
Mm-hmm.
And my conclusion is what is my conclusion? My conclusion is just like maybe the live service experiment really is over. Maybe it's like, we have Fortnite, we have COD Warzone, we have like gacha games and stuff. Will the industry finally realize that this model just doesn't automatically work? And if so, where do we go from here?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's weird, right? Because this year we had Helldivers 2. And as you all know, I was very adamant on this podcast that game was not going to be successful. I
Both of us were.
guaranteed it. What was that?
Both of us were, yeah. Both of us were like, we didn't get it.
We didn't get it, right? And when I mean, it's interesting to look at the Helldivers 2 saga because it was like really successful for about 2 months, and then it kind of just fell off, right? I mean, there's still people playing it, but I don't think it's nearly as popular, nor is it regarded as such high praise anymore. Which is very interesting to think about. But like,
yeah,
when Concord got announced, well, not when Concord got announced, because I don't think I was paying attention to this game until about like 3 months prior to its release. When they had that state of play, and they showed off the game in depth, I thought to myself, yeah, this is not my cup of tea, but like obviously Helldivers 2 was a success, and so I was giving it the benefit of the doubt. Did I think it would be Helldivers 2 quality? No. But I will say the one thing that intrigued me the most about Concord was its idea of we're going to tell a story over time, right?
that was a neat idea. That was a neat idea. I'll give him that.
And the question is, how does that play into the game? Is it repetitive? Like, there's a big risk involved with it, but it was a cool idea that I think live service games could have benefited from.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're just never going to see it. It I feel bad for anybody who played it and was like, this game is awesome, trying to
Yeah.
convince everybody to go, like, convince their friends to join in on this game, and then be disappointed to find out that you're never going to play this game again. Um, but at the same time, there wasn't many players playing it, so
Yeah.
I understand the business decision to shut down. I'm surprised how quickly they decided to shut down. I think that is my big thing. Like, do you think? Do you like? I think it's interesting because it's like, what if it did? Because of its like story approach, do you think it would take off in like a month from now? You know what I mean? I guess we're never going
Hmm.
to know, but like, it's an
So
interesting thing. Do you think it was too soon? Like, in that regard?
I don't know. I guess like the question in my mind is like, would people have stuck around,
Mm-hmm.
and would people have joined in if they heard like, oh, the story got good? Like that's kind of
Yeah.
my question, I guess, is like, because if I'm imagining myself like, next month, and somebody's like, dude, have you played Concord? And I'm like, no, isn't it that like hero shooter?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yeah, but like, dude, the story, it just got awesome, right? Like we just had like the
Fair enough.
craziest reveal, right? Like, that would be like, okay, like, I'm not saying like, oh, in that instance, I'm definitely gonna play Concord, but the chances have increased.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, right? What are the odds that anybody exists who tells me I should play Concord at that time, right? Like, it had some of the lowest numbers for a launch of a AAA game in Steam history, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not pretty what happened to
Yeah.
Concord. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess, like, my question to you would be, like, what would it have taken to get you to play Concord?
That's tough, especially for me, considering I'm not the biggest life service type of person. Um, what would have gotten me to probably get it, probably get the game, would have been if not only was it regarded with such high praise, like, in the realm of like how Baldur's Gate was,
Yeah.
if it had something that was that high praise, and I had a ton of my friends playing it, and even my family playing it, I probably then would have played it.
Okay.
I mean, that's a pretty high regard, and so I mean, at this point, 2 weeks in, and there's that not that high praise, I wouldn't have played it. So I guess
Yeah.
I guess you're bringing up a very good point in that regard.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think I'm probably in a similar boat. The lame designs didn't help.
No,
They
no,
they
I
did
agree.
not they did not help.
They looked very generic. They weren't that very unique.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had Wukong and Astrobot being really great releases, followed up with a not so great great release these
Well,
past few weeks.
what's funny about it is like we had Wukong, Concord, and then Astrobot, right? It was like
Right.
it was a literal crap sandwich.
Yeah.
Um, and I think like the again, you know, what I was saying is like I really hope the industry hears the message, right? Here's like this is not what we want, you know. And yeah, it's yeah. I just hope I just hope it's uh, a good um, a good sign. But you never know.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll look back on August September 2024 fondly as the day the time when the tables started turning and things started to look better.
Yeah. Maybe. Speaking of weird things that happened these past few weeks and how much it could change the tide of everything. Gamescom was kind of a little bit of a kind of fell flat. It kind of usually does, to be honest with you. It's why I wasn't
Yeah.
regarding it so high on the last podcast. But we did get some interesting news at the end of Gamescom. That was their one more thing on a video. Like, their one more thing was very much like, here's this game that everybody knows about that's coming out in a couple months, you know, type of thing. And so, initially I was kind of like, oh man. But sadly, it already got leaked prior to Gamescom, what they were actually going to reveal at the end. So it actually helped me in that. I would be so upset. Imagine getting all the way to the end of that showcase and being like, really, they're going to show Indiana Jones at the end?
Yeah.
On a game that we've already seen so much of. But the big announcement was that it is actually coming to PlayStation a few, like 4 to 5 months later.
Yeah.
From its launch. I think it's April.
Jones game and the Great Circle. Let me. So it comes out December 6th. No, December 9th on PC and Xbox. And then Q1, Q2 2025. So somewhere in that
Gotcha.
That time frame. So yeah, probably like probably somewhere between like 3 and 6 months if I had to guess.
Yeah. So it's a cool announcement. I don't know if it's necessarily like something that you save for the end, but I think it's an interesting precedent for Microsoft on what could come to PlayStation or PlayStation to Xbox. Is this the start of the end of exclusivity and more towards a limited exclusivity?
Yeah.
I know we talked about it on the podcast before about the perks and the pros and cons of it all, but I don't know. Do you think this is who benefits from this business plan is more my question. Do you think it'll work?
So I think there is there's a part of me that, like, okay, somebody somewhere in Microsoft's universe has crunched the numbers, right? Like they crunched the numbers and they figured out that, like, this is the best strategy.
Mm-hmm.
What confuses me is that they're doing a console refresh this holiday.
Yeah.
And to me, the idea of, like, moving to even limited exclusivity while you're still selling consoles, that feels anti-productive to me. That does not seem like you're working towards the same goal.
Mm-hmm.
And I admire the idea of, like, okay, let's get more games on more platforms. Like, I like that idea from, like, a principle standpoint. From a business standpoint, I don't know what's going on over at Xbox.
Right.
And I think that's kind of uh, the big question.
I think I also wonder, like, I wonder how much pressure Disney / Lucasfilm played into this, right?
Sure.
But again, you get into the question of, like, they signed the deal in the first place. But I almost wonder I mean, let's be honest. I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan. There's no secret on that. The game does not look appealing to me.
Yeah.
Sadly. And I'm wondering if Disney and Lucasfilm is getting nervous and wants to push more of an audience, right? And maybe it's Xbox that's like, okay, we'll change the terms of the deal. We hear you, but why don't we put it? Because, like you said, we're refreshing consoles. Why don't we put it a few months after release? Test that method so that maybe in the future we can use this method for other things. From a business standpoint, that makes much more sense to me.
Yeah.
But it also makes me nervous for the game itself. Like, if you think about it that way, because if Disney and Lucasfilm doesn't have much faith in it, I don't know if I have much faith in it. I mean, and then there's the question of if this is like something that Microsoft pushed to change the way we look at games, like exclusivity. Is this the right game to actually do that with?
Yeah.
Like,
that's a really good question.
Indiana Jones carries a big name, but like Indiana Jones has been notorious for not having a successful video game.
Yeah.
Right?
Except arguably Lego, but even then I'm not even sure about that one.
Right. So I mean, yeah, people love this series and and all that, but this is a weird gamble.
Yeah.
I would have probably gambled something like maybe Starfield. like that as far as like a limited exclusivity type of thing before Indiana Jones, or I guess maybe what's in development at Microsoft right now? There's
Good question.
oh,
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the problem, right? Is like
or like you could probably do Doom. Doom's a better example.
they are doing Doom.
Right. Oh, what do you mean?
Like Doom is gonna come out on PS5.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure. Doom The Dark Ages. Yeah, it's coming out on PS5.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
I mean, to your point, right? I think this is kind of the problem, right? Is like Microsoft doesn't have a lot of like big first party stuff in the tank, right? Which is weird because they have Activision and Blizzard and Bethesda, right? So like for Doom and COD to be really the only games that we know about, that's a little alarming. Part of it is like, you know, stuff takes time to get greenlit and then games take a while to make, so like it's not like super surprising, but it is like yeah, I just think it's oh, I guess they do. Oh, yeah, Gears of War E-Day is a thing.
Yeah.
And Perfect Dark. Okay. Yeah, I just think it's like, again, this model feels really strange to me. You know, when Sega went third party, they went third party. They, you know, Sonic, I think it was Sonic Adventure 2 came out on GameCube. I don't remember what the timeline was, but it was like, you know, Sonic Adventure 2 on GameCube, and then Sonic Adventure DX on GameCube, and then after that, Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog were both on PS2 and Xbox, and GameCube. And then, you know, Sonic 06. I'm not saying anything about the quality of these games. Sonic 06 was then on Xbox 360 and PS3. And, you know, they had to make Sonic and the Secret Rings for the Wii because it just wasn't, because they wanted to make another Sonic game for the Wii. So, you know, it was like, you know, they went full third party, and that's ignoring the rest of their franchises, right? Xbox being in this kind of weird middle ground, especially because all of their games are day and date on PC anyways, is kind of like, yeah, it's just weird. It just feels weird. I was into the model a few years ago. You know, if you go back to the Lab Rats podcast, I would have been like, oh yeah, I kind of like this. You know, it feels like it has some sense to it. And nowadays I'm kind of like, oh, why do we have the consoles, right? Like, what's the point of the consoles? You know, like an Xbox Series X costs in the US, I think it's still for a 1 terabyte, I think it's 500. Um which isn't
Yeah, I
like,
think so.
it's not like the steepest price. Like it's not,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not cheap either. Like, that's um and I'm thinking like, man, nowadays, like, depending on the person, if I'm, if they're like, hey, I want to get into video games, where do I start? I'm like, maybe you're better off getting a Steam Deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, or building a PC for $700, and then you can do like work and play video games on it, right? Like it's and that's a whole thing. But it's just, yeah, I think the last thing I want to say before I kind of pass it on to you is like, yeah, I think Xbox is in a weird spot, and uh I guess we're kind of just waiting to see what the benefits will be, right? Like, will Xbox reap the rewards of, all of these acquisitions, these multi-platform releases? Will they reap the rewards of that, or will it
Mm-hmm.
be a failed endeavor? But yeah, I don't know. What are your sort of final thoughts on Indiana Jones going multi-plat?
I just think it's the wrong game to do it with. I'm very strong about that. Even though, see, this is great for me because it's like I'm an Indiana Jones fan and now I can actually play the game, you know, when it comes out. But at the same time, if I hear it's bad reviews, I'm probably not going to waste my time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm
Yeah.
just going to get. It's going to be something that I'll play and get frustrated at, and yeah, not a good time by me. But I think it's just not the right game to even, as a business standpoint, to try it with. I think you need to try it with something else, but what that else is, I don't know, because it can't be something like a Halo, right?
Yeah.
Because a Halo defines the
Yeah.
Xbox.
Can't be
So
Gears. Gears is the same way.
it's like I don't know how to answer the question other than I don't think this was the right answer. um, so I mean we'll see. I guess it's all a wait and see in that regard. And who knows? Maybe we'll see more come very soon.
Mm.
More to be announced very soon. Because all of a sudden, Microsoft's at TGS.
What?
um, yeah, I mean, this brings us to our next topic here.
Yeah.
In like, you know, what are they showing at TGS? It's like,
Yeah.
you know, I I don't know. Other than I could see this being, I think they're going to probably announce more collaborations. I mean, that's what I could probably see. With not only Sony but with also Nintendo. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I can also see like maybe we actually get a Call of Duty announcement for the Switch.
Oh yeah, because they did have that deal, right? Like
Right.
yeah, like, we will bring Call of Duty to Switch for years to come, whatever that means. Um, yeah, I think that's possible. I also think uh, the wording here. I'm reading this from Gamatsu. It says it will feature content from Xbox Game Studios Activision, Blizzard Entertainment, and Bethesda Softworks, as well as, quote, an exciting lineup of games from third-party partners primarily based in Japan and across Asia, end quote, including games coming to Xbox Game Pass. So, I think the first game that comes to mind when I hear that is like Metaphor. Because, that's Atlas, that's Sega.
On the horizon. Anyways, from being released.
Really close, yeah.
I also think of, I don't know who's developing it, but I'm pretty sure it is a studio based in Japan that's developing it. Or it might be Korea too, I don't know. But is Expedition 33 being developed?
Expedition 33, I think, is actually like a European.
Is it?
Claire Obscura, Expedition 33. Sandfall Interactive. Oh, they're a new developer.
Yeah.
I went to their website. Just looking at Reddit. Yeah, it looks like they're like, former Ubisoft guys, I guess. So yeah, they're like kind of European adjacent. Not a very large studio, actually. Yeah, that game, man. I know we just say it every time this comes up, but that game looks awesome.
Right. I'm looking forward to it. I'm pretty sure that's going to be showcased.
It'll definitely be there. It's, all of that to say, not based in Japan, but will probably be there. Yeah, I think it would not surprise me if, there was a little bit of time devoted to Persona 3 Reload's expansion, because that comes out in a couple days. So, 2 weeks later, just have, a trailer there. That wouldn't, shock me.
And my question is this going to be broadcasted internationally?
It is.
Because then we get into it is?
Yeah.
It's not going to be completely exclusive to TGS itself?
It will. Yeah. In English, Japanese, Korean, simplified Chinese, traditional Chinese, Malay, Thai, Vietnamese, Indonesian.
Nice.
And it keeps going. Yeah, so it'll be maybe not like the biggest and best Microsoft showcase ever.
No.
But it'll probably have some stuff. I'd be interested to see if they I'm trying to think. Xbox has been so inconsistent this generation that it's really hard to kind of pin down what it'll be, right? Like what kinds of stuff they're going to show.
Yeah, I mean, you're always walking into an Xbox showcase preparing for a mediocre event and then get surprised.
Yeah. Well, or even just like, you walk into an Xbox showcase completely blind, right? Like if you had asked me, like, this last one, like, would we have gotten Doom and Gears and Perfect Dark, right? Like, would we have gotten all three of those games at that showcase? I would have laughed in your face before I saw it. So, I I feel comfortable saying, wait and see.
Yeah.
At the same time, who knows, right? Who knows? I think I think the only sure thing is that Metaphor will be there at some point. Mostly because Xbox is pushing that game.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
But yeah.
Yeah, it's cool to see Xbox there. As far as at TGS. But I think the big thing that's going to come out of TGS is not from Microsoft. I think it's actually going to be Sony, which brings to our trailer watch of this episode.
I really wish we had a jingle for Trailer Watch.
Yeah, so I got they announced that they're going to have, like, this is not something that's a speculation. This is happening. Sony is going to be at TGS with PlayStation.
Yes.
In what capacity? We don't know. They have a whole show floor dedicated to them. Whether or not it's going to be broadcast, this is going to be like something that's going to be shown off internationally, still remains to be seen. But I'm just going to go ahead and out and say it. If you asked me even a week ago, I was like, if anything, they're going to show a state of play, right? I think we've even had this conversation. Like, if anything, they're going to show a state of play. And then I got to thinking. And maybe this is where the clown makeup starts coming on, and, I should have put all my eggs in the basket at TGS, because last year, I definitely was a clown last year. But this isn't about Kingdom Hearts. This is about PlayStation, right? And I got to thinking. This year, actually, it occurred to me. I realized there was, like, some announcement that came out that was, like, for something extremely small. But it was enough to make me like, oh yeah, that is happening this year. Because I was like, if you're going to have a PlayStation showcase, you got to have a big reason, right? And I'm not talking about the fact that the PS5 Pro is probably coming out this year. No. It occurred to me that the reason why we could get a showcase, and I'm actually surprised not a lot of people are talking about this, and maybe because the last time this type of thing happened, I don't think it was either A, that popular, or B, like, I don't think it was even a thing, which is why people aren't, like, thinking it of this way. But I feel like it's absolutely going to happen in this regard of getting a PlayStation showcase. It is PlayStation's 30th anniversary this year.
Yep.
I totally forgot about that. So what better way? You have TGS, you have this big show floor that you have planned out. what better way to have a PlayStation showcase honoring not only what's to come, but what's in the past, right? There's been rumors of the God of War trilogy being remastered for the PS5. There's we still don't I mean, you and I have talked about it over the summer. We still don't know what's to come from Sony in the next year, you know. I think now is the time Sony is going to show what they have in store for the next year and a half to 2 years. It's going to be at TGS. And that's a
Okay.
bold claim. But then I think to myself, why not now? You have your 30th anniversary. You have an audience. You have an in-person audience. And you also have um a audience tuning in from around the world. So you get the best of both worlds. At the same time, it is not uncommon that a showcase has happened in September. There was a showcase that happened in September in, I think it was 2021, a year after the PS5 came out, and that's when they revealed Final Fantasy 16 for the first time. Um, so yeah, I think it is highly possible. Am I being a clown? Who knows? I'm sure Ezra is probably going to be like, let's lower this expectation down to state of play. But I do think it is possible that we see, and I'm putting the watch out. We're not quite in a trailer warning yet, but we're in a watch of a bunch of games probably being showcased, including God of War remastered, probably the God of War remastered trilogy, and maybe a tease of what's to come, and then a trailer for Wolverine, and
Okay.
and maybe, I don't know, would it be kind of fun to throw in halfway through the show a Kingdom Hearts trailer? Just saying. Just saying. The possibilities are endless. What do you think?
There's some truth to that, I guess. Wolverine is kind of the thing that makes it lack plausibility to me. I gotta be honest. Um, the rest of what you said, I'm like, sure, why not? I don't know what about Wolverine, but it just doesn't feel close. It feels far away. But I guess like in early 2023, I felt that way about Spider-Man 2. So, um, I think I will say, in terms of general chances of like a state of play or something like that, I think there's a good shot. Especially since like they need to announce the PS5 Pro at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but but yeah, in terms of like specific games, yeah, I just kind of like, we'll see it when we see it, I guess. I don't know. State of plays don't have like the biggest reputation of
Right.
like big reveals, right? Like there was,
Hmm.
there's like the, kind of re-reveal of Final Fantasy 16. Trying to think of some other ones. There was like the Final Fantasy 7 remake PS5 version. Um, Funny how these all have to do with Final Fantasy.
You sensing a theme? Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Is the
Um,
clown makeup really coming? I'm sorry.
the cloud makeup is certainly on. I I will say I think the only thing I can be sure of is that the PS5 Pro probably gets revealed sometime this month. That's like the big like, and I think TGS is like around the time when that happens.
Hmm.
Um, does that mean I will purchase a PS5 Pro this year? No. Mostly because I don't feel like I need one, but
Yeah. No.
that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
I will say, um, do I think a Kingdom Hearts trailer is possible at TGS? No, unless it is a PlayStation showcase, which is really weird to say when Square Enix is there, but like
They've announced their
I'm going to
lineup.
be. They've announced their lineup. I wasn't really too high of hopes of it, anyways, considering. I mean, they really Square Square Enix's approaches to TGS in the past at least 3 years has always
Yeah.
been, let's just showcase what we have now
Yeah.
through the pipeline instead of like showing new stuff off. I don't think that's going to change this year.
Yeah.
So unless they have something, and it's very possible they do have something brewing for the PlayStation showcase. I mean that I don't think it's happening. Sadly, which is funny
Yeah.
in comparison to last year when I was so sure that was a case. But like
Yeah.
I feel like it would want to be like if I feel like they want to reveal that game in a bigger sense, like re-reveal that game in a bigger audience.
Yeah.
I don't think it's because the game was revealed in a 20th anniversary event, right?
Yeah. One, it
Which
was it
so
was like a private event, and then they like released it on YouTube the night after, and it was just kind of like,
mhm,
oh, they did that. Like
exactly.
it wasn't like a big like moment exactly.
Whereas I feel like the next time they're going to show this off, it has to be that.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe the tide is here. But I guess we're not going to know, and we
Yeah.
probably will have one more podcast before TGS. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, this is like the beginning of like the trailer watch segment because I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure we'll have a lot more to talk about in a few weeks once we start getting signs of other things, and maybe
Yeah.
it will be announced by that point that a PlayStation showcase is coming.
Yeah. That would be pretty cool. Having a
Yeah,
PlayStation and an Xbox showcase in September. That's awesome.
right.
And then like theoretically, maybe the Switch 2 gets revealed next month. Like that would be
crazy.
Awesome. That's not.
It's not entirely impossible.
Yeah, like that's the thing is like, I keep thinking about it and I keep thinking like, that feels a little bit like a pipe dream. But then I'm like, well, if it's gonna release in May of next year, they gotta do it at some point, right? Like they gotta reveal it at some point. They can't just like announce. They can't just like shadow drop it. Like you saw what happened to Sega when that happened. So like, yeah, it's hard to.
And plus, you got to think, like, I mean, there's the practical sense of, it's not releasing holiday, but you can still do holiday pre-orders.
Holiday pre-orders. You can do, I mean, part of it is, like, you know, you can steal some of, like, the market share from the competition, too, right? Like, you can kind of, like, take up space. Yeah. Anyways, that's speculation for another time. You know, just because like there were the whole like there's a lot of talk about like, oh, they moved up the partner showcase for some reason, right? And we don't know what that reason is. But it must be because of the Switch 2, right? But that's, you know, that's all conjecture. So, you know, we shall see. We shall see.
Yep.
But, you know,
speaking of,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you know, 2025 is shaping up, so you know, I've got no complaints.
Speaking of, they gotta show it at some point. They finally showed it.
Finally showed it.
And you know, we started off the podcast with talking about the dark side of video game adaptations, to also the shadow side of video game adaptations. But also the great side. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Yeah, we finally got the Sonic 3 trailer.
Yeah.
And the reveal of Shadow.
Keanu as Shadow.
Keanu Reeves as Shadow. And there is a lot to unpack.
There's a lot
I gotta ask the Sonic superfan.
Yes.
What was your thoughts on this trailer?
So I watched this trailer, and the whole time I was like, this movie is going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
This movie looks so cool. Also, I wanted to point out, this is also the second time in a row we have opened with Marvel and ended with Sonic.
Is that funny? Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I mean, I don't know, like there's just so much. Oh, where to even start? I mean, I don't know, like I think the past, let's just say 15 years has not been kind to Shadow the Hedgehog.
No. No, not at all.
You know, his last like great showing was in that's a hard one. Like Sonic 06, and like that game sucks. And then like in fairness, he's got a cool boss fight in Sonic Generations. He wasn't in Lost World. He shows up in Sonic Boom, but everybody knows how that went. Um, and then he did have like his own like DLC episode Shadow thing in Sonic Forces. And again, in fairness, those are probably some of the better levels in the game, but and they like you could play as him in some of modern Sonic's levels, but like also Sonic Forces is bad and they didn't exactly get Shadow's character right anyways. Um and since Forces, he's kind of been absent. Like he was in Team Sonic Racing, but like that's a spin-off. Um and then like he wasn't in Frontiers at all.
Yeah,
So
no, he wasn't in Frontiers. Yeah.
yeah, he I mean, I'm sure they mentioned him at some point, but he wasn't like in the game.
But to be fair, they made that game very simplified.
Yes, they kept it bare bones as could possibly be, which is fine. Like I don't
right.
I don't want to say that as a criticism of Frontiers. What I do want to say is like Sega has been sitting on one of the coolest characters in all of video games for a really long time with no idea what to do with him. Right? No idea of like how to handle this character, which there are a lot of reasons for that, right? Like if you look at Shadow's backstory, it's kind of like, wait, that's in a Sonic game? like that, like the whole like Black Ops scientific experiments, child who dies thing is not exactly like what you think of when you think of mascot platformers. So it's understandable for Sega because remember around the time of 2010, right? Sonic was a joke, right? Sonic was like floundering. And part of that was like Sega didn't think people liked Sonic characters anymore, right? Like they thought that like people only liked Sonic and maybe Tails and then Eggman, right? Like that was it. I think thankfully they're starting to wake up from that nightmare. Anyways, they've been sitting on Shadow for a really long time. No idea what to do with him. And then suddenly this year, right, we get Sonic X Shadow Generations, which, at the start of it, I was like, oh yeah, that could be cool. Like levels with Shadow, and we got some cool, we got a new like gameplay stuff. Like, oh yeah, like I'm down. Why not? But like as they keep revealing more stuff, I'm like, dude, this Shadow Generations thing looks awesome. And then they released the Sonic 3 trailer, and it's got everything it needs from the perspective of a Shadow fan, right? Like because like for me, for a really long time, Shadow was my favorite character, right? Like for a really long time that was the case. Sonic kind of overtook him because mostly just like from a like what I value in a protagonist kind of thing. Like I value like the the cockiness and the joy and the and just the like the fun of Sonic rather than like the darkness of Shadow the Hedgehog. But like even so, as a Shadow fan, I look at that trailer and I'm like, Shadow has never been as cool as he is right now, right? Like he's doing like the Akira slide. He's teleporting around. I think he's got the I hate to use this word, but I think I have to. He's got the aura that is required for Shadow, right? Like, because Sonic Adventure 2, kind of the whole point is that Shadow and Sonic are the same, right? Like, the only difference is that Shadow is out for blood. But like you look at some of the stuff that that Shadow says, and like it could be said by Sonic, right? Like he says stuff like, "I'm the coolest," and I'm trying to think. Like, yeah, there's all sorts of stuff that's like, it's clear that like Shadow is like is literally a dark mirror of Sonic, right? Like he's literally like I am Sonic, but a little bit more serious and out to end humanity, right? Like that's the and we've only seen a little bit of Shadow's like personality in the trailer. It's mostly like he gets a couple of lines, but it's mostly like action shots of him. But like the vibe I'm getting, I mean, like, what I've said from the start is like there is a real I think I've said this from when the first movie came out. I was like, they could end the trilogy with Shadow, and basically it's the same thing, where Shadow is basically Sonic from the first movie, but with but harboring a lot of hatred, right? Like, with Sonic, it's just like pain and loneliness. With Shadow, it's like pain, loneliness, and like a deep hatred for humanity because they killed the only person that he ever loved. And like, so like that, the dark mirror stuff seems to be in like full effect here. And then like, you get stuff like Fat Eggman, you get it's funny because the trailer doesn't actually, for a 3-minute trailer, doesn't actually show a whole lot. No. But like what's there is like, it's all so cool. And it's I'm really glad the movie's apparently going to be PG-13, which is like spot on, right? Like that's exactly the movie rating I would want for a Shadow movie. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Not that I want Shadow to be cussing. That would be cringe. Um, but I do
But he's a
think
darker. He's a
he's
darker
he's
character.
a darker character. I think they're probably gonna have some major events. Like I think and it spoilers for a 22-year-old game. Uh, they blow up an island in Sonic Adventure 2, right? Like that,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, speculation is that James Marsden's character might be on the island when it explodes. So like there's stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
there's Maria. She has to die. Like that's the whole purpose of Shadow's
Mm-hmm.
character is she dies and he goes on to uh try to keep his promises to her,
Mm-hmm.
which it begins as revenge and ends as I will protect humanity. I will bring them
Mm-hmm.
happiness. And I think, yeah, I mean, insofar as the trailer goes, it looks like they've got it. Like it looks like they kind of got it. Caleb, I know that like you're like a Shadow the Hedgehog fan, like that, like
I
the
am.
like that game is pretty much your Sonic experience aside from Frontiers, right? Like
Yeah.
like before Frontiers, that was pretty much the whole. What do you think of this trailer? How does it speak to you from that perspective?
Well, I should say I'll say this. Okay. I I grew up with Sonic with like the Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
That's where I got exposed first to Sonic. And when they made when I got the Shadow the Hedgehog game, because by that point I was becoming a pretty big fan of Sonic, and I've been wanting the games in general. I had gotten it for either a birthday present or a Christmas present, one of the two. I had gotten Shadow, and I tell you what, I was in awe of this character. Like this
Yeah.
character is he's just so cool. There's just
Yeah.
no way to put it. No way, other way to put it. And so Shadow has always been like a very big, like he's definitely my favorite character out of that universe. And when they started making the Sonic movies, I wasn't sure if they were going to even get past the first one. Like I wasn't sure how the
Yeah.
first one was going to be.
Yeah.
And I saw how successful the first one was, and you know whether or not there was going to be a trilogy, I didn't know. But like I thought them going down the route of Knuckles for the second one was just a perfect idea.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm
I
like
agree with
that's a
that.
way to bring the sequel and as well as introduce Tails as
Yeah.
well.
Well, and I think too, uh, there's a really uh, I don't know how popular his sentiment is, but it's one that I really agree with. That's like you've gotten Sonic right if you get Knuckles right, right? Like that's
Yeah.
the thing is like if you get Knuckles, you've got basically the whole series. Because
Mhm.
Knuckles because Tails is like, oh, he tags along with Sonic, like that. That's kind of an easy dynamic to get right. If you can get Knuckles as a character if you can fit him in, you've got it, right? Like
Right.
you can do every character. Anyways, keep going. I wanted to add to that.
So, I mean, I never really thought of these movies as a trilogy, but I always thought in a regards of I always wanted to see what if they could bring Shadow to the screen. And when they teased him at the end of the movie in 2, I was like, okay, all right, I'm locked in. I'm excited to see where they go
Yeah.
with it. And seeing him in this trailer and seeing how much they even tweaked his design from the
Yeah.
last movie to this, like, I gotta say, this is like, to me, I never would have thought of this ever, but I prefer the movie design over any prior designs of Shadow.
I think that is totally fair. I think for me, it's mostly just like a I need to see the movie first
Right.
before I make that call. Like that's the only
That's
um
fair.
cuz I think mostly it's just cuz I'm like I just haven't seen enough of it, I guess. Like I've been living with the same version of Shadow for like close to 15 years. This
Right.
like one design of Shadow for a really long time. So
Yeah.
I don't I having like this brand new one, it's a little like shock exposure to me, like a little
Mm-hmm.
bit I'm like I don't know how to react to this. I think he again, he looks so cool, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the I think in a perfect world, Sonic and Shadow look as cool as each other.
Mm-hmm.
But the next step down from that is Shadow looking cooler than Sonic, right? Like that's
Mm-hmm.
the like because I don't think Sonic should ever look cooler than Shadow, but I think it's possible for Shadow to look cooler than Sonic and have it make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Like in that sense, yeah, I'm really happy with it.
I mean, not only did they master the design well, they mastered his move set really well
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
And I think that caught me more off guard than anything, because
yeah,
part of me was like, I shouldn't say off guard, but like I that to me, on how much they mastered his move set so well, it made me clearly, like, that was a clear message to me. Okay, the writers and the team behind this movie are real big fans of Shadow.
yeah. They were like, ooh, we get to do Shadow now.
Exactly. Like, I mean, it's very clear that, like, this is a perfect ending to, not an ending, but a perfect, like you said, 1, 2, and 3. This is how
Yeah,
you do a Sonic trilogy.
yeah.
And I mean, whether or not they go to 4, I think it's inevitable they will go to 4. Um, I think,
Paramount
though,
really wants to go to 4.
yeah, I think this is. I really am super excited for this movie.
Yeah.
I just don't like the release date. I'm gonna be crazy on this. I don't like the release date only because it just makes it complicated for you and I to go see it. That is the
Oh,
only
sure.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, it's like it's right at Christmas, so it's like, oh man.
Yeah,
And
it
I
is a
want to
little
see it right
rough.
away.
It
I
is a
want to
little.
see it right
Yeah,
away,
no.
but
Yeah, regardless of who I'm seeing it with, I'm seeing it the first screening I possibly can. Like that
right.
it is a day one. I mean, in an ideal reality, I go into that theater, watch the movie, go out of that theater, go right back into that theater, watch the movie again. Yeah, I could not be more excited. So, okay, I have a question for you.
Hmm.
Do you think Shadow is the ultimate villain of that movie?
As opposed to
Like,
Gerald.
like, like, yeah. Well, so Gerald Robotnik is in the movie. You know
Uh
how
huh.
Sonic Adventure 2 goes, right? Like the whole,
I've heard the gist of it. Yeah.
yeah, like Shadow. Uh, Shadow was created by Gerald. Gerald like implanted like the revenge thing into Shadow, uh, and then like Gerald is the one who tries to destroy the Earth, and Shadow kind of betrays him and saves the day. I think so. My friend and I were talking, and we both kind of think there's a good chance that the villain is actually Eggman and Gerald, who create Metal Sonic.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, because they get the quill. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, the other thing too, they brought back Metal Overlord from Sonic Heroes for Shadow Generations,
Mm-hmm.
which uh, is like Shadow fought him, but that's like a supersonic fight. So like seems a bit random unless right they're
Mm-hmm.
I mean this Sonic Shadow Generations thing is very clearly a Shadow movies coming out in 2 months. Let's capitalize on this, right? Um
Yeah.
so it would be it's I think that's super possible. I also think it's possible that they just do the Bio Lizard, which would be cool. Um, Bio Lizard into Final Hazard, um, and just have the set piece of the space colony falling to the Earth and Sonic and Shadow trying to stop it. Um, yeah. Do you think any other characters are getting like
I
introduced?
think I think we're getting more of the Sonic team introduced.
Okay.
Um,
So you're
it's
thinking like
interesting because
Amy and stuff?
right. I think Amy's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah.
I think out of anybody, it's gonna happen to them. Like I think she would be she would be the one to show up. Just because I guess in just in my brain, that's
Yeah.
where you go. You go Tails, Knuckles, Shadow, and then you know
And
what I
then
mean.
Amy. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
movie looks good,
Movie
and
looks good. Yeah. There's a lot I could say about it.
there's a lot I could say about it too. I am just really excited for uh the film, and like it's hard to believe now that we got the trailer that it's like, oh my god, it's only 4 months. So it's both a good thing and a bad thing,
Yeah.
you know, um, that we waited so long for it. But like,
Yeah.
I'm glad now that I got the trailer. I don't really need to watch anything more. They already sold me day one.
Yeah.
Um, so
I mean, I've just been watching the trailer over and over again.
me too. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. So to summarize the podcast, when I watched the Minecraft trailer, I immediately had to go and watch the Sonic 3 trailer just to get a palate cleanse.
Yes.
And that is not
Exactly.
that that is a true story. I couldn't do it. I was like, oh my god, never watched it. Like, I watched the Minecraft trailer once. I don't ever need to see it again. I don't need to see the movie again. Sonic 3 trailer I've seen so many times at this point. It looks good.
Yeah, it looks really good. All right, I want to make a really bold prediction. I'm gonna make an
What's that?
insane prediction. Sonic 3 ends, and they credits roll, post credit scene starts. Silver the Hedgehog. I don't think. I think it is lost on a lot of people how actually insane that idea is. Because remember, Silver was introduced in Sonic 06, which kind of sent the Sonic franchise into a tailspin. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, Sonic 3 looks really good. I can't wait to see it. Keanu, perfect casting. I was pushing for Hayden Christensen. But I will.
Now I can't unsee it.
Now it's like, okay, yeah, it's Keanu. Like, yeah, there's no.
Well,
have you
then,
seen the?
I don't even like.
Have you seen the jokes that, like, Keanu passed on the Acolyte so he could do Sonic?
Yeah. I saw that.
That was pretty funny.
Being right, if that was the truth.
That would be so awesome if that was actually like what happened. Like, he was like, "Nah, I'm in Sonic. I'm gonna do that instead of this Star Wars thing." Like, yeah. Anyways.
Well, I think that wraps up the show today. Yeah. Any teases of what's to come?
Well, I can say that there is something I'm not allowed to talk about yet.
Oh.
And then you're playing Scarlet Nexus.
I'm pretty much at the halfway point at this point, right? Because I'm about done with one story.
Yeah, I guess, like, yeah.
If you're looking at it at a two-story perspective.
Yeah, two-story perspective. I guess, like, I don't remember how they handle, like, progression carryover from one playthrough to the next. Like, so I don't remember if like will the next playthrough take as long as your first playthrough?
That's a good point. I didn't even think about it. I guess I was going in the perspective of Square One.
Sure, but... and that might be what it is. Like, I feel like I remember playing Kasane's second and feeling like, okay, yeah, like I'm starting from the beginning again. But at the same time, I don't, like, I played that game back in 2021, so I don't remember. Played that game a lot, actually. But yeah, you're playing Scarlet Nexus. I hope you're cooking on what your next
the
book
next
club
one for you.
Yeah, will be.
Yeah, I'm cooking. I'm cooking.
What else? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, I think hopefully by the time next podcast rolls around, I will be able to talk about what I am not allowed to talk about.
Gotcha. I'm hoping, here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping to at least have most of Scarlet Nexus finished. I don't know if I will, because it's hard to tell at this point. Because you never know. Things I always say my two busiest months of the year are August and December, right?
Yeah.
Now that August is kind of past, I don't know how much. Like I will say like I've only played 18 hours of the game so far.
Yeah.
And it's been a while, but that's only because I haven't had so much time to work on it. Whereas I think now that I'm no longer having to go on like certain vacations and stuff, and that sounds that sounds like I'm complaining. No, I really enjoyed my time off and all that stuff. But it at the same time, I think now with not being so busy, I'm going to have a little bit more opportunity to play the game. So
Yeah.
probably I will have it most of it done. I know for a fact I'll be on
Nice.
Kasane's story at the point.
Yeah. Well, and
That
thankfully, we were
oh,
talking
go
about
ahead.
this a little bit. We were talking about this a little bit before the podcast. Uh, they kind of explain everything, anyways. So, yeah. We'll talk about that more
Yeah.
when we get to it.
Well, thank y'all for listening. We'll catch y'all on the next one in the TGS episode of some kind, either before or after. We don't know yet. Uh, but as far as that goes, we're sorry we like that.